Hi, I'm Dana Ariema, and I'm here to demonstrate a few great ways that you can integrate using the T-Spheres aromatherapy massage balls into a Pilates session with a client. The T-Spheres can be a great prop to use during your sessions as a tool to aid in awareness and placement and alignment, but also to add a little bit of release work into some tight muscles or attachment points in the body. One way we can use the larger size T-Spheres are to put them in the lower back, on either side of the spine, in the lumbar spine region. They aid in providing a little bit of a curve to the lumbar spine and keeping that sensation of the lumbar spine being lifted ever so slightly up away from the mat, so that the client can then from there do a little bit of marching or do a little bit of toe taps. In this position especially, the T-Spheres are a great sense of awareness as to if there's any spine movement going on as I do each one of my toe taps. So I can keep a sensation of keeping my abdominals engaged to put a little bit of pressure into the T-Spheres. At the same time, the weight of my body against the T-Spheres is giving a nice release into my lower extensors as well as my QL. In this position as well, keeping the T-Spheres in the low back area, you can have your clients do any traditional upper ab curls, and in doing the upper ab curls, it helps keep the clients from tucking the pelvis while they do the curl. And so they can keep the sensation of keeping their pelvis still as they curl the upper abdominals. Again, putting a little bit of pressure into the low spine for a little bit of release work into the low back. If you place the T-Spheres under the glutes, aim for around the piriformis on either side of the sacrum, or you can play around with any spots in the glutes that feel particularly tight to you, as well as consider the fact that you want to ideally keep the pelvis relatively neutral or level. In this position, it's a nice little bit of release work for the glutes as well as the piriformis. It can also be a great tool in doing some pelvic rocking as you rock the pelvis to an anterior and posterior tilt position, putting a little massage into the glutes and piriformis, as well as the T-Spheres elevate the pelvis ever so slightly. And so I have a greater range of motion and a greater sensation of what my pelvis is doing in here. Using the smaller size T-Spheres, you can place them around and near the shoulder blades to do arm springs on the tower or the Cadillac, as well as other arm and shoulder mobility type movements or exercises. You're going to want to place the T-Spheres just inside the shoulder blades or on either side of the spine, and really you have a variety of different places that you could place them depending on your body. I'd aim for a spot that feels tight, or you could move them up and down the outside of the shoulder blades to find different points that are either tight and need to be released, or a different sensation of the shoulder blades moving while you do arm work. With those T-Spheres placed around your shoulder blades, you can then add the arm springs on the tower or Cadillac and do your arm work, either pressing the arms down, triceps, arm circles. All of them, again, having the T-Spheres in that place between the shoulder blades, around the spine, and any tight knots you have, adds a nice sense of release work, as well as awareness and sensation of the movement of the scapula and the muscles in the upper back. You can use the large T-Spheres under the lumbar spine when doing leg springs on the tower or Cadillac. Again, place the T-Spheres to either side of the spine, getting into the low extensor QL region. You want to place those T-Spheres just above the pelvis on either side of the spine. From here, you can take it to single leg springs or double leg springs, keeping the other leg bent or straight as you would teach it normally. Having the T-Spheres under the low spine, again, helps the client keep a neutral pelvis position, adds awareness to whether or not maybe one hip is hiking up towards the armpit, as well as gives a little bit of release into those tight low back muscles. One of my favorite placements for the T-spheres is just above the hip bone, getting into that psoas area whenever we do something like heel beats or swimming or just an opposite arm leg reach. You can place the T-spheres just above the pelvis and find a spot where they can sink in and work on a little bit of psoas release. From here, you can cue the client to do a leg lift, adding an opposite arm, getting into full swimming or heel beats. Every time you lift the leg, that T-sphere will sink a little bit deeper in towards the psoas. And as that psoas is being stretched, as the leg is being lifted, it adds a nicer lengthening and releasing sensation in the psoas. Adding the T-spheres into a wall roll down, placing them in your lower back on either side of your lumbar spine, is a great tool in terms of both massaging and releasing into your low back by sinking into those T-spheres. But it's also a really helpful learning tool. You teach the client to stay connected into those T-spheres as they roll down, and it will aid them in better articulation of the spine, especially in doing so without resorting to a large tuck or tilt of the pelvis in order to articulate through that low back